Like look, in IT support, the most commonly manually done ticket is password reset.
Yeah.
Sounds like a simple thing. Like everywhere you do ticket analysis, you find password reset. Why the hell is this still done manually? Because there are hundreds of applications in the company, and each of them has a different password reset algorithm. And users are not good at it, right? They simply need help doing it or someone doing it for them. So this is why there's no reason to not automate this, but you can't automate it industrially because every user is, let me be a bit like brash here, every user is stupid in a different way, right? So everyone has a very slightly different question on password reset. And this is why this used to be a manual ticket. With AI, you can cover all the variety of all password reset tickets and you'll get rid of them.
Yet if you talk to most stakeholders in the industry, when we talk automation is still RPA, is still runbook, do you feel, what is it, the whole outcome enabled by all those innovation, or is there fundamentally a different way of automation which the broader market hasn't really picked up on?
That has something to do with change management, right? Our companies are all process-oriented today, and if you cannot predict the next step in a process, you're not a good manager. But you want to be a good manager, right? So everything has to be predictable. Life is not predictable. Like you as a single human, you might be more predictable than you think you are. But generally, the complex systems of all humans is very unpredictable. So if you want to replicate the real world, if you want a machine to automate in the real world, you have to get rid of this deterministic, we can predict every next step. But in companies, everything is organized towards predictability, right? It's not measurement and then acting on top of the measurement. We measure how good our predictions were in the process. Like, did we have enough agents to do the call center? Did we have enough raw materials to build the car? Did we have, and so on and so forth, right? This is what we do. So we'll have to give up on predictability to actually make use of this.
Before we get to how to make it work, governance, other more operating model, for me the elephant room is always a business case. And people don't talk about the business case because it's technology at the moment. It's not the most cost-effective way. Well, some people can get excited about the new capabilities, but it's not the most cost-effective way. How do you bridge that gap?
Can we get to there are a couple of topics we should cover before we talk about the money, right? We have to keep this to the back because the money is obviously the most interesting thing. But what I see a lot is people looking for simple solutions to complex problems, right? This is like populism, radicalism, all of this, simple solutions for complex problems. And they try to make it black or white. This is exactly the same what is happening in society. It's totally crazy. Is happening in technology as well. So let's make an example. For 10 years, you've been collecting shit in your hard drive. You've always, like in your holidays, you never did. Right? But you're an analyst. You have actually ordered shit on your hard drive. But okay, people like me, I'm chaotic, right? So I have collected documents, research papers, books, videos, whatever. I've collected it all. And I always say like, okay, I'm going to take the time, I'm going to put myself into the basement for a week and sort out the stuff because there's so much cool information and knowledge and experience in it. And I never do, right? I think every company has this. Like, we should finally know what we know and blah. And then we see a shining star at the end of the tunnel, which is called RAG systems, like research, retrieval augmented generation, right? So the simplification of this is take all the stuff that you collected over years and years, throw it at a RAG system, and then the RAG system will understand everything you have, sort it properly, and give you answers that you didn't have before, even though you had all the information that was necessary. No, like this is just not what's happening, right? It's like, and I think it's great that guys like Microsoft make RAG systems available through Copilot Studio, and so that all makes sense. But the expectation people get that you just throw your shit at it and it'll somehow magically understand what's up. Of course, these systems don't understand structure. They don't understand which document will overwrite what other document, because that's difficult to do, right? And this is exactly what you would have to do when you start sorting your hard drive. and so on. So there is so much mismatch in what technology actually can do and how it works. People need to learn to crawl before they start walking, right? Today you feel like people want to go to the level of how Google is automating stuff with AI, and they haven't even got their data in order. Like the data mess you see inside companies, and you see on the one hand you see the GAFA type companies and or governments also throughout the world collecting data in a very structured effort, and you see these companies saying like, we have all this data, we're not giving it to anyone, and now it needs to produce value like this. No, like not happening.
Just much build on that. I mean, if I read all the statistic about presumed adoption, be it generative AI, or even agentic AI, I roll my eyes. Why am I rolling my eyes? Because exactly the point you made on maturity, where the clients really are. Can you just almost expand what maturity or what are the issues clients have to get first done before taking advantage of all the innovation?
Look, AI adoption is not that you're having Copilot write your Outlook email and then the other guy uses Copilot to answer your email. That's just... That's Monty Python in real life.
Oh,
right?
You could have more of that.
Totally, like you can make so many funny sketches out of this, but the whole point is that just because someone is using some technology at some point, if you're an AI expert and you try to keep up with this, you have hundreds of accounts with AI companies and you've tried them about once and then you keep returning every 3 or 4 months because everything has changed in that time, and you see what progress is actually being made. There is a lot of fantastic technical progress being made, right? But the real challenge is like, how do you get this into your business? And then getting it into your business might be a multi-month, even sometimes multi-year project, because you have to change the way your business, you have to collect data with everything you do. Like, look, I'm involved in these data projects now because that's the foundation for applying AI. And it means that the key difference between machines and humans is that machines have no complexity limit, but they don't get causality, and people have a very strict complexity limit, right? We need to keep it stupid and simple and draw boxes and so on, but we understand causality, which allows us a whole different way of argument. For a machine, reasoning is trying 2 million options and trying to find an economic optimum. For us, reasoning is actually answering the question why.
So Moravec's paradox is still alive.
Absolutely. Well, Moravec's paradox is still alive. Is totally, which also leads to a lot of bad decisions, right? That people don't know Moravec's. Do we have to say what Moravec's paradox is?
Probably we should explain.
Okay, then in 2 sentences, everything that is hard for machines is easy for people. Exactly. Everything that is hard for people is easy for machines, right? And not the other way around.
It's so simple, but for me, it's fundamental. I think at times, if we look at all the complexity in those discussions, if we are serious, if we also take our clients serious, but it boils down to that.
It is, right? And it also makes the decision-making process. People, because AIs now talk like us, even voice synthetics is great now, we assume that they're like people. But they are not. They're the opposite of people, which can make it a very productive relationship, right? If you outsource complexity to machines and you outsource causality to humans, you're fine. If you mix it up, you're getting in real trouble.
It's almost perfect segue. How should organizations think about governance? Because it's not about, if I talk to many stakeholders, we talk either about snippets about ethical AI somewhere on the website, or just looking at technology issues like model drift. But I think it's the end. Organization, in my view, have to progress to an outcome-centric view of governance, where you literally focus on ascertaining that the outcome is as expected. How do you drive that in those discussions?
This again is a very organizational topic, right? And it's not only good if you start putting governance into AI, because putting governance into AI also means that you get very biased results, right? You get very biased results. So Gemini will not create a picture of a white female. Grok will prioritize Elon Musk's Twitter posts towards anything else. DeepSeek will not tell you about the Tiananmen massacre. All things that we know are like wrong, but they have gone through the guardrails. Because Grok defines itself as created by Elon Musk, it thinks that Elon Musk is daddy and knows everything best, because DeepSeek was trained by Chinese people and they don't want to talk about Tiananmen from a political perspective. It's simply out there, and because the Gemini team is LGBTQ friendly, it does not do a picture of a white woman. It's all this bias that is in the system is natural. Like the world is biased.
But isn't governance, or has to governance, much broader than just bias, and just looking at the information that's being fed? Is it some of literally managing this new complexity? And don't we have to be much more honest? There is a new complexity, a humongous complexity in my view. This is much broader than just a technical part, or the technical issues like bias, model drift.
I would disagree. I would agree with there's more than bias and model drift. I would disagree that this is adding complexity. The complexity has always been there, right? The world is complex. It's not complicated, it's complex. There are so many moving parts. Like everything is fractal. Like if you measure the coastline of France on the map, it is such, I don't know how many thousand kilometers, right? But if you measure it with each grain of sand on the beach, it's like infinite almost. The world has always been complex. And this is why we as people, we cannot take in that much data and can process this. Our brains are much too slow, but they're highly paralyzed, right? So we have found a way of dealing with complexity. For us, it's causality. We form causal change, and this is what change, and this is what we can do. A machine can actually deal with complexity, and the more compute power we give to the machine. I mean, these are our two solutions with machines, right? The one solution is be able to deal with complexity. Like this is how all the cool systems that we have now, SAP and so on, came around. It's actually fairly complex if you have all the bookkeeping data of a large company. That's a complex problem, right? No person can know all this data, but the software can. And the second thing that we have allowed ourselves to do now with AI is something that I, as a computer scientist, like always get goosebumps, is we actually run a brute force, trial and error approach to everything. Like training a large language model is a brute force, try everything thing. We spend hundreds of millions of dollars in electricity just to try out stuff, of which 99.999% is crap, and the whatever stays left is the readily trained model, right? This is totally new. As evolution might have done this. Evolution has tried everything, every possible combination of genes, and went from a single cell to complex organisms like us, and meta-organizations on top of that, which is society and business and the market and so on. But they all come back to complexity, right? The market is unpredictable because it's a complex system based on natural chaos. So I think the complexity has always been there. Because we have these machines now that can actually deal with complexity, we get pushed out of our comfort zone, right? Our comfort zone is the Pareto principle. We draw boxes of how life and business and so on should. We make a plan. And most of the time, that plan helps us to give guidelines. This is like guardrails for an AI, but you know the saying, right, is man makes plans, God laughs, which basically means there is complexity and unexpected events happen.